Former President Trump was at, I guess you call it, a rally, and there was an attempt on his life. The shooter was later killed. Obviously, it's now at least as far as Republicans go, the iconic picture of him with his fist up, his ear bleeding. When you see something like that, what are your first thoughts?
I'm happy he didn't get killed. You know, I don't condone any type of violence of any type. We play politics in this country entirely too much. You know, you go back to the foundation of this country: united we stand, divided we fall, and all this other stuff. One nation under God, like all of that stuff need to be like rewritten because we're no longer there. We're so far removed from it. I've always felt like something was gonna spill over and land at his doorstep. I don't know how we got that close to him, but when you spew that sort of rhetoric, it eventually follows you. I'm thankful nothing happened at the end of the day in terms of on his life, but he's been inciting violence for a while. He's been very divisive, and it's just unfortunate we're here. In 2024, we're here. Like we've almost witnessed a presidential assassination on television, and that's bad. It's a bad look for the country. It's a bad look for those people in position that were supposed to protect his life. Man, I'm just happy, you know, that he's alive and that it didn't happen.
I'm on the same page. Like, I don't think politicians should spill into murdering people. Like, it's just crazy. We saw, you know, presidents get killed in the past. We see the divisiveness that's in the country, but it's been there for a while because presidents been shot. But honestly, it's fucking crazy people that do it. I don't know if this is real. You know how the internet goes. You see the one lady playing on her phone. You see the Secret Service send the guy to the front of the thing. You see him bleeding from his right ear, no blood early on. Then after he gets laid down by Secret Service members that have no earpieces in, that really don't look like they are secret anything. And then after somebody gets shot, now you let the president stand back up and start pumping his fist. Like it looked staged, I would say, to be honest. But if it's real, and that's a capital IF, if it's real, that shouldn't happen, bro. That, like, you have your side, they have our side. This is why elections happen. This is why people come together. We know the electoral colleges. We know why these systems are set up. And if it's real, don't shoot no goddamn body. It's been happening in the past, Rez. You say the divisiveness of it now is something. It's happened in the past, and I would say there's still gonna be crazy motherfuckers forever, but don't get to that point where you're gonna shoot somebody if it did happen.
Chen, I think we have to think it's real, considering other people lost their lives, and then you have other people, you know, a few people that were critically wounded that are in the hospital. So from that standpoint alone, yes, I would say it's real. Although I did have my questions when it first came out. It sort of looked, you know, kind of crazy. And my question was, did anyone else, you know, get hit, especially with all of the shots that rang out? We are so far removed from what the foundation of this country was supposed to be about.
I think that's where I disagree. You mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance, right? And the Pledge of Allegiance,
Recite it.
It says one nation under God.
We have not.
We didn't start that way. This nation didn't start as one nation. This nation, as we all know, was founded on slavery. And there wouldn't need to be a civil rights movement if we were always one nation. I think the thing that stands out the most about the attempted assassination on former President Trump is that it doesn't matter what your political view is, it doesn't matter what side you sit on, violence is never the answer. An assassination attempt is never the answer. Murder is never the answer, because that's exactly what it is. No matter what your reasonings are, no matter why you feel it was something that can be justified, it can't. And so that's the first thing. Whether I agree with him or not, I don't believe that he should lose his life over politics, right? I don't believe that we should stand so far apart in what we want from rules and regulations that it should result in bullets flying through the air in rallies and around people who are innocent bystanders as well. So that's the first thing. I think the other thing is, too, we're talking about a man that has incited violence since 2016. We're talking about a man that the whole reason for January 6th, the whole reason he was up for trial, because that was something that he put into the atmosphere. And so I think we have to think about that this happens with division. Whether the division is a good thing or a bad thing, whether the disruption is a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's Lincoln, Kennedy, X, Luther King, there was some sort of division that was caused based on the way that you went about your business, based on the way that you went about life. As I would stand and say that Martin Luther King shouldn't have been assassinated, Malcolm X shouldn't have been assassinated, Kennedy, Lincoln, all of those, I stand there with President Trump. Clearly, I don't agree with much that he does. I agree with very little that he says. But I do not think that he should lose his life based on the way he chooses to run a campaign or run a country. What I did appreciate was President Obama was the first to speak on it. President Obama was the first to reach out to him. Reason being is because he's a leader, because he's a man that understands that if we don't do this together, and if our president isn't the president of everyone, then we can't win. The saddest part for me is a man who was a first responder, a former fire chief, lost his life. You know, and his daughter, Allison Compatore, she came out and said he was a great dad. He was a great husband. He was a great man of the community. And so now this family has lost a great man in their lives over foolishness. And the foolishness starts somewhere, and it's always going to have a consequence. Every decision, every word, everything we do has a consequence. It has a reaction. This can't be the reaction. If you don't want him to be president, find somebody who can beat him if you're a party. If you don't want him to be president, get out and vote. Don't use a gun. And I ended with this. I'm glad it wasn't a minority. I live in Louisiana, and every rule that seems to be passed, everything that seems to be done, seems to be preparing for some sort of civil war. And I believe that war would have been started if that wasn't a young white man who pulled the trigger.